The, we went to the SACS briefing yesterday at 2:30.
Teachers, please report to the trophy room for the faculty meeting at this time. We need all teachers in the trophy room for the faculty meeting. Thank you.
And basically, it was just real non-informational summary of the accreditation process, but they're going to send a real thorough report within 30 days that breaks down, the whole Elliott report and everything like that. But bottom line is, they did recommend us for accreditation. So congratulations to you all for all your hard work, and I want to thank you for all your hard work. Especially the ones that was on the SACS committee for your hard work and your effort, because there was a lot of yo-yoing back and forth. There was a lot of, you got it, but you need to go back and do it again and go back, and it was just a long, tedious process. So we can all take a breath and just be glad that one thing is over. We always know we can't relax too much, because it'll be something else in this business. But we are accredited, and I just want to thank you all for your hard work and your dedication that went into this process. And once we get that final report and it really digs in, some of the things, it was two things. They said we had 4 things that were, what do they call it? Powerful, impactful things, and they say most schools don't get any, or the most they get is 2, and we have 4. So they bragged on the school system a little bit with what they saw, and they were only 2 things that they said as a system we need to improve upon within a 2-year period, and one of them was differentiation and rigor, which is nothing new. And then also peer, I guess it's more the advisee type deal, where we have it in places, but they're saying that every student ought to have someone in this building that's making contact with them. Every student. So I don't know if we're going to do it next year, or I'm kind of milling around in my brain what that should look like, but we're going to have more of a advisee session. I know the only way we can do that is and of course nothing we can do about it this year. We have 2 years to implement it, but I don't know if it's something in the schedule once a week. I just have to get with Dr. Hinton and kind of talk this thing through, and of course present it to you all, and we can decide what that should look like. But that was the only things that in a couple of years they're gonna come back and look and see if we made improvements on. So then they put up a score, IEQ score, and I don't know what all that means, but the final score come in that report. But we were higher than the national school system. We were higher. We were up like in the 300s. I think 400 is the highest. We were up in the 300s in certain things, and high 200s. But that overall score was a 300 something, and so that was pretty darn good when you're talking about overall, and compared to that national score or whatever. And she said, as we make improvements, our score ought to increase. So the things that they told us we need to improve upon, once we work towards them and make those improvements, our scores ought to increase. So, but bottom line, it was a good job. You all did a fantastic job putting this thing together, and they were very impressed with what they saw countywide. And like I said, we'll get a more specific report about us, hopefully, when they send that report within 30 days. This was a new model. This wasn't like the old advanced ed model. It was a totally different model. The scoring was totally different.
Samantha Thornhill, please come to the front office. Samantha Thornhill, please come to the front office.
It was totally different than, this was the first year for this new model, and it was totally different than the models in the past. So anyway, it was all good. Any departmental concerns or things we need to discuss or anything of that nature? Everybody good? Okay. Oh, we need a signing sheet. Do we have a signing sheet? We do a makeshift one. We improvise. We had a little situation I want to talk about in the cafeteria this morning. And every time something happens, you know, I always look at our processes and the way that we can do things a little differently. And unfortunately this morning, Ms. Harden had a conference, and then I was supposed to cover in the cafeteria, and as you know, when I walk in, I had a parent waiting on me, and when I looked up, Ms. Miller was looking at my door with a young man on her arm that she was bringing to me, because we had a situation in the cafeteria. And whenever stuff like that happens, I always, whether it's in the cafeteria, whether it's in the hallway, whether it's in a bathroom or whatever, I always go back and rethink our processes and look at and see if there's anything that we can do. And I always try to look, in this position, I always got to look worst case back. I always got to think about what could happen. What could happen, and what if this happened, what could we do? You all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And what could we do? And this was no different. And Mr. Rash come to see me, and we had a good conversation. And but my thoughts patterns were already thinking about it. So I told Ms. Harden to look at the schedule and look at places where we have males, and if it's a place that's a low traffic area or a low risk of something going wrong, pull that male out of there and put him in the cafeteria. So we walked building, and we looked at all of the areas, and then I had Ms. Harden go in and readjust the duty schedule. It's not anything, we didn't add anything, we just moved people around. So I don't know if y'all, did she send it out? I don't know if she sent it out. Well, I'll
Didn't
pull
see
it
it
up.
as of 3:30, I don't think.
Okay, well, I have it, I'll pull it up. So you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
I ain't a mailman, man. I think I'm getting it. Ain't nobody.
Can y'all see it?
Right there.
So right
Green.
here,
Right here.
right?
Yeah, this is the 23rd
This is
to
the
29th due week.
So we right, no, where we at?
Right there.
We're in that week, this week, yeah.
Right there, okay, all right. So what we did is got, right wall of new cafeteria where the stage used to be. And what we did, bottom line, is we placed, that ain't the right one. Right, no.
Yeah, but I'm not there, and that's my way.
You got Mr. Underwood, Coach Gibbs.
You might be on the second page, Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Oh, that was the second page. Never mind. Yeah, there you are.
All right, let's look at.
Not that one.
Cafeteria. But basically, bottom line is what we did was we looked where the low impact areas were, where it wasn't likely to be an issue. And we all know the high impact area is the cafeteria. And based on what happened today, even though it could have been a lot worse, and it wasn't, I was kind of proud of the kids when I went back and looked at the video. Most of them stayed seated. We didn't get a big, running towards it or whatever. But it do make you go back and rethink things. So in those high impact areas, which the highest impact areas in that cafeteria. What we're gonna do is, when your duties time come around, if you're a male, we're gonna put you somewhere in that cafeteria. All right, and then that way, if something do happen, I don't have my ladies trying to deal with a 19-year-old boy. Okay?
Mr. Miller.
Because he was somewhat compliant, but that thing could have went a whole lot differently. And when those things happen like that, it makes you go back and rethink things. So we didn't add any stations or anything like that. We just adjusted and moved some people around. Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
We've got that extra walkie-talkie.
Now, we're gonna put, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
We're gonna put a walkie-talkie in the teacher's lounge, in the teacher's lunch dining area. So we'll leave one right there. For some reason, because as administrators, it just depends on what happens. Sometimes we'll get pulled or whatever like that, or we even cover the alternative school. So sometimes if Dr. Jackson is out at the alternative school, one of us get pulled for the alternative school. One day last week, we had administrators going in different ways. I was the only one here. So, and those things happen sometimes. So what we gotta do is we gotta look at adjusting, and this is what we did. So we are gonna put a radio in the teacher's lounge. For some reason, there's not an administrator in there. The person that's closest to the serving line, if you'll be the person responsible for just having a radio in case something happens. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna send the new schedule out to everyone, and hopefully we won't have a situation in the cafeteria. But when you see potential of something, you need to make adjustments, and that's what we did. Hopefully next year. Right now, I'm thinking about the drop-off being up this way, so we'll have the metal detectors and everything in the cafeteria in that little, foyer, thank you, in that little foyer. So that's gonna put resource officer, and we won't be doing these hallways. Now, drop-off though, pickup, I think we're gonna keep pickup in the same area. Because if I put pickup over here, it's just going to be a big cluster. So pickup is low impact. We do our pickup, they leave, and that's pretty much it. But with drop off being here, then we won't have all of this stuff in the hallways, and then all of our concentration will be on the cafeteria. Okay? So that's the adjustment we're going to make. I'm going to go and I'll send out the updated duty schedule, that's pretty much it. Anybody have anything else? Any other concerns? Talked about, I know the advisory team covered this with y'all, so I won't go into all that. In your blue, it's time for formative assessments. In your blue folders, hope we're putting the artifacts in there, because that's part of your formative assessments. On standards 4, 5, and 6, which is differentiation, which is assessments, and which is how we use assessments. Make sure that you have, because pretty much everything else we can pretty much see, and it's okay to have, some examples, but that's your data notebook part right there. Those 3 standards right there are your data notebook parts right there, because it talks about how you differentiate, it talks about your formative assessment, and then it also talks about your assessments. So make sure you plug your stuff into those 3, because those 3 is based on that notebook. Those 3 are how we really. That's the only way that we can truly get a true picture of what you've done for those 3. Now, lesson plans and stuff, we look at them every time we come in on the door and things like that. Professionalism, parent communications, make sure that one shows a true representation of your level of parent communication, because we don't know that either. Okay, so those 3, make sure that you really pay attention to those 3. As the other 7, but those 3 should be pretty big. Any other questions or concerns? Listen, let me say it again, how much I appreciate each and every one of you and all of your hard work. And thank everybody for their hard work in that SACS thing, especially those SACS committee members, because they really took the bulk of this. I'm gonna take these carts and I'm gonna put them up. And because I was thinking last night, Ms. Cunningham was asking for a cart yesterday, but I was thinking last night if this was a new process, if I'm around for 5 more years and this process is probably still gonna be in place, so ain't no use in starting over. We're gonna put them carts up, and then it's just a matter of looking at how it was done and updating the information instead of just starting from scratch. I'm gonna get those things that we uploaded to them, and I'm just gonna archive all that stuff. So if this thing comes back around, all you're doing is freshening it up, not completely starting from scratch. So we're gonna keep that stuff and pack it up. All right, Mr. Bates, Ms. Hart, y'all have anything? Okay. Well, thank y'all for your time. Get you some ice cream. Get you some ice cream.